morning, everybody. I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Wendy Yee.
I'm Chris Yee.
Remind us, next week is 432 episode. I'm excited.
Ooh.
I like unusual numbers. Yeah, then we can look forward to 444.
That's my favorite number in the entire world is 444.
What about 4444?
Wait, why is 444 your favorite number?
So it's this whole conglomeration of things, but it was like my student ID growing up that then it kind of moved to somewhere else, and I kept seeing it places to the point that now my mom texts me and says, "Happy Wendy time" when it's 444. Like, and she's done that for over a decade. Yeah.
All right. Well,
it's been a thing.
I like 360 because that's a mathematicals.
I don't have a favorite number because I'm a normal person.
Also, I learned how to count by fours really early.
Okay, chat, do you have a favorite number? My favorite number is 7,112.
Chris also doesn't have a favorite color.
I don't.
Okay, so every year, we're going to go off topic, I don't care. Every year at the Gathering of Friends, they have a number game where everyone writes a number and puts it into a box. You can write any number you want. And then the lowest number that you are the only person to write wins.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a great game. And it ranges. I don't know that I've ever seen it in the single digits. Maybe it has. But like 13, some years it's 42, whatever it might be.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
It's because you sit there and I'm like, okay, I want to go low, but how low do I want to go? Anyway, it's a fun game. But it's like a one-note game, too.
Yeah. That's a good game to play once a year type of a thing.
Oh, that's right. You did tell people the combo to your luggage.
Ooh, watch out.
And also some combination of your bank account number. Just throw in one other number.
444.
All things there.
4.
All right, folks. Welcome to Board Game Breakfast. We have a contest for you. This is for Skull Canyon, right here behind us, Ski Fest. Skiing game. I actually did the review. You can see how it plays last week. In this game, you're collecting cards, traveling up a mountain, skiing down it, avoiding a Yeti, and then spending time in the sauna. And I did not ruin the question.
It's close.
I got close. All right.
It's mana.
What water do you stay in after skiing?
So we have 2 copies of this. This is for folks in America. You can win by emailing us at contest@dicetower.com. The subject line Yeti, and in the body, answer the question: what phase allows players to rest? The sauna is in this phase, but it is not the
name
phase.
Of the phase.
It's not called the sauna phase. Okay, so that's the contest. Other than that, hey, folks, I want to do a couple reminders for you. If you would like to keep an eye on the news, we have a podcast and a whole thing, dicetowernews.com. So there's a website for news. There is a podcast, and Corey, who runs it, also has Dice Tower Dish, which is a series where he takes designers out to eat anywhere they want. Some of them pick like Taco Bell, others will pick a fancy restaurant, and interviews them over dinner. Really good interviews. Second, Dice Tower Digest. It's our newsletter. You want to know what's going on with Dice Tower? That's a way to keep track of what's coming up and things. It gets sent out every other week. We do not sell your stuff, although I have gotten like 20 emails in the last couple weeks about people offering to sell me Gen Con's list, which is totally bogus.
Ooh.
But
Okay.
yeah, I get those all the time. Like, would you like the list of Gen Con? I'm like, would you like to get out of my face? Anyhow, and then thirdly, if you would like to listen to some of these shows instead of watch them, we have a podcast for that. How did I get that?
DTV Audio. Yes, DTV Audio. I was like DTV.
DTV.
Dice Tower Video Audio.
Yeah, so Wendy puts it up, and we got about one goes up every day, right?
Yeah, we do about one a day. They're usually about a weekish after they air, but some of the big stuff I try to do a little bit sooner. Yeah.
I think that is all the news we have. We have our 30-hour marathon is coming up. Ooh. This is June 16th and 17th. So that was one of our Kickstarter stretch goals. I'm looking forward to this with some trepidation.
No sleep.
Yeah. Well, we get sleep nowadays. We no longer stay up for the whole 30 hours. I don't think.
I'm going to stay up for the whole 30 hours.
You do what you want. I'm taking a nap. I can stay awake for good stretches of time, but I'm going to take a nap at least somewhere.
You do way better without sleep than I do.
Yeah.
Without sleep.
I've never done one of these before, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah, because stay up 30 hours is one thing. Stay up 30 hours on camera is a very different thing.
Sure.
Yes.
So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Also, unlike our spectaculars, this will be slightly different. Our spectaculars, which the summer spectacular is coming up in July, There's no sponsored content or anything. We're just going to play whatever we feel like, which could be good, could be bad. Hopefully it was good, but we've definitely played some bad games during.
All of the above.
Usually they're good games. They're games we want to show off.
That would be my hope.
Sure, especially when you're like bedraggled at 2 o'clock in the morning. You're not like, all right, let's learn the rules to, this mess.
Well, the very first marathon, at the very end, we played the game where you have a card on your head and everyone has to sit and guess with the card.
Whatever, yeah.
And we were all sitting like adding numbers together. And it's like, we won't do that again at the end. But you can't play party games the whole time because it will just wreck you. Mike is sitting there going, when are they going to get to the segments? I'll tell you when. Now!
Hi, this is Ambi from Board Game Blitz, and today instead of talking about a game my toddlers have played by the rules, I'm going to talk about a game that one of my toddlers really likes playing with, but not necessarily by the rules, and that's Clask. So Clask is a dexterity game. It's kind of like a air hockey, but on the table with magnets and stuff. Basically, my kids saw this huge box, and they always wanted to play it because it's a huge box sitting on the floor. But I was always like, no, we can't play it yet because you're not old enough. But eventually, I finally said yes and let them play with some of the pieces. The game is 2 players, and the game comes with a big board and a bag of pieces. So pieces include this magnet, lots of magnets, and a score tracker for each person, and a little ball, and an extra little ball. So there's 2 of each thing, which is a bonus for if you have twins, because then each person gets 1, and it's great. First, I just let them play with the board and this score chip, and they're like, oh, yay, circle, and they got to move it around on the score tracker, which was fun. Also, this fits perfectly in the hole of Clask, and then it's hard to get out. But eventually, I figured they stopped putting game pieces in their mouth all the time, so I could let them play with the little ball and the striker. And now, actually, my kid can play with the magnet on the bottom, and you have to do this carefully because magnets are dangerous and you can pinch him, but he really likes hitting the ball with the striker. In the actual game, you're supposed to try to hit the ball into your opponent's goal, but my kid really likes hitting it into his own goal and then moving the scoring marker, and he's like, yay! The dexterity isn't there yet because he's only 2.5 years old. But he always wants me to play with him, so we each have a ball, and then we have our own strikers and hit it into the goal on our own side. This is how we play Clask now, and it's one of my toddler's favorite games right now. And it goes to show that even if you don't have toddler-specific games, some games that you have you can modify to play with your toddlers, and they can have fun playing too. Especially dexterity games, those are really good for this. Let me know if you've modified any of your games to play with toddlers and what their favorite components to play with are. Thanks for watching Board Game Blitz. Bye!
Hello everyone, how are you doing? It's Cloud talking about board games, digital versus physical, and today I'm talking about a game I've only played digitally, and that game is 2007's classic, Race for the Galaxy. Now, I have only played Race for the Galaxy on Board Game Arena, but I've played it a fair old amount on there, and I am loving this game if I'm perfectly honest. So, if you don't know, it's a card game, and at the beginning of each round, everyone chooses what they are going to play in that round. So maybe you'll develop, maybe you'll go exploring, maybe you'll produce goods. And then everyone reveals and everyone gets to take the actions that everybody else has chosen, but maybe you'll get a little bit of advantage if it's the one you chose. It's really interesting and it's really cool. It also has 5 expansions, which is pretty awesome as well. And what I will say is that they're on Board Game Arena. Now, one thing that I often hear about this is that the symbology can be quite difficult, and so people don't really want to be teaching it. But that is where the beauty of Board Game Arena, and in particular turn-based games, comes in, because I was able to learn it at my own pace, and it was quite nice and casual, and now I feel comfortable with the game, but I didn't feel the stress of trying to be like, in person. It's like, oh wait, what was this? What was this? So there's a real advantage to being able to learn and play this game. And also it means that I am playing with amazing people from the Dice Tower audience online on a regular basis. But I would also pick it up in person if I saw it. It's not a particularly expensive game. I've seen it for $30 or £30, and so yeah, sure. And I've also just seen that they have packaged the first 3 expansions as one box as well, so that's one way of jumping in, although the base game has 109 cards, I believe, so it's not like I learned all those codes off by heart yet. So yeah, Race for the Galaxy, amazing game. Be happy to own it in physically, but also happy to play it online. And until next time, I'm Clara Barker. Bye!
20 years ago, one of the most controversial games ever designed was published. And that is Killer Bunnies and the Quest for the Magic Carrot. I know this because on Board Game Geek, this game is ranked 22,281.
That's very controversial.
That's actually pretty low. It is ranked above Yahtzee, which, by the way, is a travesty that Yahtzee's rated that low.
Yeah,
Yahtzee
Yahtzee's
is
a real
not
game.
that bad. It's rated below Toss Across, which should also not be rated that low. You ever played Toss Across? That's
No.
the beanbag game with the tic-tac-toe?
But do you hit like the thing in the middle and it rotates or something?
Yeah,
or?
so you want to hit it on the side that makes it go to yours, but you can hit someone else's and make it go back.
Okay, that's not. Yeah, no,
interesting.
It's great.
that's a delight. Yeah.
I know it. It's also below Star Trek the game, which should be ranked that low. Anyway, Killer Bunnies and the Quest for the Magic Carrot, I have ranked a 6.5 because I cannot give it a 7 because it is not a good game, and yet I'm amused by it. It came out in 2002. There was, I believe, 12 expansions. And it's like
few.
Munchkin and you have the deck of cards, but the deck of cards goes
It
up
just
to
gets
here.
bigger with more expansion.
Right, and each one has a different color back. There was a red set, a yellow set, a pink set. Each one came with a 12-sided die and things like that. The object of Killer Bunnies and the Quest for the Magic Carrot is to get the magic carrot. So as the game goes by, you are playing bunnies, and they're in this circle, and so you have bunnies that are yours. As you put them out there, you'll play bunnies in front of you, and they're like in a circle, and then they're killing each other with weapons. There's all kinds of weapons, like a laser gun and a chainsaw, and they get horrifically mutilated. So it's a big take that game. But once you have a bunny in front of you, that's part of this circle, you can then play carrot cards. That's the whole point of the game. And when you get these carrot cards, at the end of the game, so the game ends, I think I don't remember when the game ends.
When you've murdered everybody?
Well,
probably?
no, because you just murder other bunnies, they can bring out more bunnies. But the game ends, so let's say the game ends, Chris has 4 carrots, you have 1, and I have 7. We then take the deck of bunny cards, shuffle it.
Carrot cards.
Or carrot cards, sorry. We did a little deck of carrot cards that matches all the ones. We shuffle it, we draw one. Whoever has that one wins.
What?
Yep.
What?
Yep.
You don't know how this game ends.
I don't know how that. Yeah, no.
So you could win having only got 1 carrot.
Yes.
Because it's the magic
I
carrot.
hate this game. I hate everything about it. I get the magic carrot.
Yeah, so I mean, really, it is. The rest of the game is really just take that. I played this on you. I would have loved to play a bunny card, but I haven't drawn one in 65 turns. But I don't know why. This is like when we do Guilty Pleasures, one of them, because I know it's a terrible game.
This is going to be in our 30-hour marathon.
No. It's not even in Dice Tower Library, although I kept it for a really long time. It has a lot of humor in it, which I tend to like. Like, there's every kind of bunny you can think of. There's a Robotech
I don't
bunny.
find you as a humorous person, Tom.
Thank you.
You know.
Well, that got real jerky quick.
Take that.
Never mind. I won't. Anyway, the designer of this is Jeffrey Neal Bellinger, who is a walking caricature. If you've ever met him, he loves this game. He loves. There's also some follow-ups to this game, which are about the same. Anyway, he's made a couple other games. He made a game popularly titled "Flip the Bird." But anyway, when you meet him at a convention, he's very personable. He has probably sold more copies of this than the publisher has. He's just really great. He loves Star Trek more than Gene Roddenberry did.
Who made Star Trek the
Okay.
board game?
Yes, and so if you meet him, you'll be like, "Can you do your Captain Kirk voice?" He's there.
Ah.
He's a very nice person. But that being said, I
this
can't
modern Kirk or old Kirk?
really recommend this. Although I found that kids like it, and there's a version called Kinder Bunnies or Kinder Bunnies for kids, and my kids all really liked it, and they think the idea of the carrot thing at the end is a good one.
Huh.
It has a charm. I cannot remember if I've played this game or not. I've been around it or something. I don't remember if I was in it. I think I wasn't, but I've seen the ending of it and I've seen the visceral reaction. It almost feels like I've played it just based on that. You know
that Golden Ticket game has the same ending.
That's true.
Have you played that?
But that game is also 30 minutes. Killer Bunnies is a much longer game.
Yeah. No, for that reason alone, I don't think I've played it. Because if it was a quicker experience, I think it would be more,
Yeah,
something I wouldn't mind sitting down to.
Again, it might be worth trying out at some point in time, but you know what? I think it's still in print. it's made Playroom, I know, a lot of money because they made all those, and then each expansion added something else. Then they added a Zodiac die on one of them, and one of them added, I can't remember all the things they added.
Zodiac Killer Bunny. I love it.
Yeah, there was a lot. And then there's event cards turned over, be like, all the bunnies die on the board, stuff like that.
Wipeout.
Yeah, so fantastic game. But like I said, there are, and it's also a very highly rated game. I mean, there are almost 6,000 ratings on Board Game Geek.
It is.
High quantity of ratings.
Yeah.
On.
It has 120 10s and 171 ones. I mean, look at that breakdown there. There's a lot of people
Mostly
giving it sixes, right? Yeah,
Six is
well,
right around the mark.
for Board Game Geek, this definitely skews lower. There is a lot of ratings below 6, and for some people, a 5 is their 1.
Yes.
Sure.
You know, so
Yes.
it rates pretty low. But anyway, if you find it at a garage sale and you have kids, I'd recommend it. And if you think the theme is funny, but honestly, we should move on.
Hello, Proti here, your Romanian content creator, and today I will continue my series where I will talk about a specific part of a game, and today we will talk about Abstract Academy. Abstract Academy is a nice two-players card playing game, so to say, where you play cards with color patterns in the middle of the table until the rows are defined, because you will play it on a 4x4 grid, and when a column is completely there, then you know which are the 4 rows, and from that moment on, you know exactly that the first rows in front of you are your pointing rows, and the other two are the pointing rows of the opponent. You have different objectives, even in your hand or in common objectives on the table, which you are trying to fulfill so that you get points from round to round, and every round the objectives are different. And there is one objective that I really like, and it is this one. This says you have to have a balanced composition, and I find it interesting. Why? Because it's not like have the longest one or have the longest red one or have the biggest line or adjacent of different colors or different let's say objectives like that. Here you have to watch out to count all the quadrants which you have of the different colors, and then subtract the biggest one from the smallest one, and the difference should be as low as possible. Then you have a balanced composition, and I find it really interesting because when you have this and it's giving you a nice amount of points, you can strategize around. Not anymore, yeah, you can try to work out the other objectives too, but here you have to watch out to have all the colors present. You are not focusing on having one major color, so to say. This is maybe another objective, and this is what I find interesting, that sometimes the objectives are against each other, which is actually nice, because then you have to focus on one or the other. You cannot do both, which is interesting in Abstract Academy. And this is the, let's say, for me, the most interesting one, I would say, from the set of objectives, this finding the balance between all the 3 colors. And this is what I wanted to talk about in Abstract Academy. Have a nice breakfast.
So this week we're taking Monday off for the most point, because that was yesterday. So yes,
I hope so.
I definitely took Monday off for the most point.
I kind of did. I only worked half a day,
Binge Stranger Things for the most part.
which we're not
Most
talking about
point,
yet.
That's what we're saying
Most
around
point.
here.
Most point part.
Anyhow, so some of the Monday stuff has moved to today, which is obviously Board Game Breakfast. There will be no marbles this week because of that, so something had to get squeezed out. At 11 o'clock, in about 2 hours, we're playing Sniper Elite. Actually, in 50 minutes, Z's doing his... Is he doing
Is he doing
that?
what's happening today?
I don't know.
It wasn't on the schedule, I don't think.
I think I took it off.
Is that one of the
Yeah,
Monday,
because
the Monday
we have to
things
prep
gone?
for.
Yeah, there is no... Sorry, no what's happening. Sniper Elite, we're playing that live. It's on the table, you just can't see it. Then at the table will be later on today at 2 o'clock. So those are the various things that are going on. We have some live stuff going on today, and then the rest of the week will be pretty normal. I'm showing you how I made 5 tribes look nicer. I'm reviewing a couple games. What are we reviewing? Startropolis, Dream Runners, the new expansions for Summoner Wars, Lord of the Chords. That saddens me. All right, anyway, I'm talking about my top 10 Osprey games. And I'm going to do a classic review of Pirates Cove from Days of Wonder, because I think a lot of people have not played that. Our Foursquare review, the big review this week, is going to be Dice Realms. So that's the new dice building game from Tom Lehman from Race for the Galaxy. And you know what? For the life of me, I am curious as to what everyone's going to rate it, because I don't know yet.
I am curious what I'm going to rate it, because I don't know yet.
You know, that's the thing.
So we got a lot of other reviews going up over the course of this week. And then on Friday at 10 a.m., Chris and me, and maybe some other people, but definitely me and Chris, will be going over the statistics for all the top 10 lists.
Top 100s.
Top 100 lists. Thank you. That makes a lot more sense. So we did 8 top 100 lists, all 7 of us here at the studio, and we have the People's Choice. And what games on what list? What games were not on the list? What's the highest rated Board Game Geek game that's not on any of the 8 lists? We didn't do that.
We didn't do
It's
that.
added now.
I guess I could.
No, I'll pull that up on my computer because I think I'll just start going through them and then you'll be like, no.
Oh, okay.
I'll be like, number 1, this game. Chris like, no. I'm like, all right, we're done.
Interesting.
I am curious what the highest.
That is, yeah.
But more importantly, we're gonna be like, here's the games that cross over the most. Here's the people who crossed over the most, and whatever. Chris has a whole lot of different statistics.
Changes year over year, but amongst your lists, right? So you, Mike, Z, and Roy all have previous top 100s. So also some of the changes, ups and downs. There'll be some cool stuff. Also, the A team will be doing a top 10 list on Thursday. For the top 10 family game.
Yes, and we have our show. Our new show is starting on Wednesday, the Delicio Factor, where he'll be playing games. Wednesday's tomorrow. This week has me all thrown off.
It's a mess. It's an
Yeah.
absolute mess.
Yeah, so that will be tomorrow morning. Mike's going to be playing through a game solo. We'll be playing Wild Serengeti. So if you want to see beautiful animals, that is definitely a game to look at. And that's also the Dice Tower Library. I mentioned that because we only have a month left. Did you know that?
Oh.
Hey, Mike, Tom
I'm
called
down
you a
now.
beautiful animal.
Well, I'd argue if I could.
Anyway, so lots of things coming from the Dice Tower this week. Let's keep going.
Good morning, Board Game Breakfast. My name is Amanda, and I'm here to talk to you about a game I'm really looking forward to playing in the future, and the game I'm going to play in the meantime to scratch that itch. One of the games I'm really looking forward to playing that I've heard a lot of good things about and seen some gameplay of, and it looks really neat, is First Rat. This is a highly scientific game where you are a rat in a junkyard collecting all of the resources required to build a rocket that can get to the moon. You know, the important stuff like baking soda and apple cores. So you're running around and gathering that stuff up, and then you're also racing the other rats to try to build your rocket and get your ratanauts into space first. This deeply science-based and thematic game reminds me a lot of another space game, Space Race. And this is an actually very science and sort of reality-based game where you are racing to be the first space program to get into space. So you can play as the Chinese space program or the Soviet space program or NASA. I think there's even the opportunity to play as like a private corporation. So Space Race is another game where you are, rather than like moving up a track and gathering resources, you are collecting cards and kind of building your team and doing research and moving along the mission track to try to be the first in space. But that's what I'm going to be playing while I wait for my chance to play First Rat. I hope you have a great breakfast, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Does anyone think the original series is better than Next Generation? Because it's not. The Next Generation is a superior Star Trek show.
I grew up with the Next Generation, so that's what I know.
The first
I think that also has something to do with it.
The first season of Next Generation, though, I think is worse because it's basically the 60s show. Like, it has a lot of the same writing quality and some of the same tropey issues, but it's a newer show. But
Sure.
then by season 2 onward, definitely
She's saying
better.
after they killed off.
Look, hey,
I've never sat down and watched Star Trek as an adult in order. You know what I mean? Like, when you watched it on TV, it was always out of order, piecemeal, kind of like reruns here and there. I've never sat down and been like, Next Generation, let's do this.
I would like to at some point.
I started to with my daughter.
I don't know if I have time.
A few years ago,
just
I was like, let's watch Next Generation.
energy for that.
And they were enjoying it. They liked the character of Wesley Crusher because they had no reason to not. And I was sitting there going, I forgot the special effects were this bad. It was tough.
Did you start at the first season?
I did.
That's the thing is that first season they're on like They're like, let's go to the planet. They're clearly on like a solid blue wall soundstage. Like, ah, yes, the alien planet. And there's like houseplants in front of them shaking. It's rough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do the episodes feel slow?
Okay, we're not talking. Let's wheel this back.
This is what matters. You brought it up.
This is not a review
now
sort of thing.
I'm not talking about Star Trek. We're talking about the next generation of gamers. Okay, so by that, I want to be really clear. The next generation of gamers is the next generation of gamers, as in people who are young who are getting into games. I'm not talking about your kids. And I say this because there seems to be this general philosophy of I'm raising the next generation of gamers. You might not be, because your kids might not like games. I have 7 children, and 2 of them are into gaming. Slightly. Like Melody's into gaming, but not as much as, like half the people watching. And Ruby likes gaming a lot. And the rest will like to game. We played games yesterday as a family, and everyone had a good time. But they're not probably going to go out. I'm not passing the Dice Tower reviewing torch onto one of them, and I'm also not upset about that fact.
Right.
Because I think it's weird because we all decry that in other parts of life. Like the whole, son, you're taking over the family business. I don't want to take over the family business, Dad. And we're like, stop being a jerk, Dad. And yet we do the same thing.
You can be anything you want in life. Lawyer or doctor.
I was like, I feel like that's a movie trope, right? That's not a real thing?
Yeah, but it's also like your collection of gaming. You're like, someday I will pass this on to my kids so that they can sell it off. Because that's likely what's going to happen.
Sure.
They might keep it. But
or they might keep a few of the most memorable emotional games. You know what I mean? The stuff that they've held on to. They have great memories of.
Now, granted, there's going to be people watching this going, but my kids are different and they love gaming. Fantastic. All right. Keep that to yourself. But I'm actually talking about us and the next generation of games. Even though you guys are you're half generation for me anyway. No, you are.
No, it's
true. Like, if you think about the games that really got us into gaming, they're very different.
And then there's another one beyond that. And I am learning as I get older that all those old people traits that I despised, that whole get off my lawn, that just kind of naturally happens to most people.
People stop listening to new music on average around the age of 33, at which point everything new is trash. It just happens, and I try to actively not. I have to work very hard not to look at new music and be like, this Billie Eilish person, all she does is mumble. She just mumbles and I hate it. Oh, I'm that guy.
Yes, and so that can happen with gamers, especially with the way younger gamers behave and act. I'll be, oh, look at them. Come on now, grow up. Well, they are grown up. It's just a different way than I did. My thinking of this is I got to be very careful. So on the Dice Tower, we're always like, we want to welcome younger people in. Because we're all getting older. Right, Mike? I can't even make fun of Mike as much anymore because I'm the only grandfather at the Dice Tower at this point in time.
Oh, that's fair.
I'm actually the only person who's close to that fact.
Chris is the youngest.
I am. I'm the only person close to that fact.
And he's the curmudgeon old man who
Are you
won't
the
listen
youngest
to
at the
Billie
Dice Tower
Eilish.
now?
I am the youngest of the Dice Tower.
Yeah.
Still.
Not from all our contributors across the world, though.
No.
No.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know.
We have a kid doing a segment.
I don't know how old that kid is.
Anyhow, so what I've noticed, though, is we have to be very cautious to not kind of do the get off our lawn thing. When someone comes out, and this happens a lot with games, someone comes and says, this game is good, and we go, well, not as good as, Dominion and El Grande. Games will never be as good as the Golden Age.
Sure.
Okay? Just as a heads up, we don't know what the Golden Age of gaming is. We never probably will till like 50 years from now.
Yes.
Are games now worse than they were 20 years ago? Objectively, no, they're not worse. There's many improvements on them.
But there's so many more that are terrible. Like, there's so many more quantity-wise that come out.
Sure.
So there's more terribleness, too.
There is. But just if someone likes a new game, I can't be like, wow, you got to play these old games. And I don't even think you have to. Like, if there's a certain amount of old classic games you have to play to be a gamer, it is going to get demonstratively more difficult every year.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Someone who just gets into gaming now will be like, well, you got a lot of work to do.
Yeah. Oh, you've never played Glory to Rome? Go hunt down this $250 rare game. Otherwise, I revoke your gamer card.
I feel like nerd culture has some of those elements, too. Like, oh, I watched the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I like comic books. I don't read comic books. Therefore, I'm not a fan of comic books.
I'm sorry, if you haven't read comic books, then you may not enjoy those movies with me. Now,
I feel like there's people that have that opinion, that feel.
so what I want to circle around, though, is I want us to be encouraging to younger folks. Now, I get the whole kid versus adult thing. The idea of, sometimes you want to play games without kids present. In fact, at some of our conventions, like Dice Tower Retreat, there's no kids welcome there. And not because we don't want kids, but because that changes the atmosphere of the whole event. I have no problem with that. We don't say, if you're 18, no, you're welcome to come. I don't ever want us to get so cliquish that anyone who is younger feels that they can't come to something. And many of our conventions, younger people can come to them because we want that. We want to encourage that. Because if we don't, our hobby is going to die off. This specifically has happened in many ways with wargaming. If you go to a wargame convention and you are Chris's age, you will be a baby there, essentially. Because there's a lot of old people who play war games, and they aren't particularly always welcoming. I remember very distinctly when I was a kid, I got into stamp collecting because I wanted to collect something. And I thought I'll get in something, that's cool. And stamp collecting is cool. I kind of faded out of it because after a while, you're just like looking at stamps. There's not a lot more you can do.
Sounds cool.
It is cool, Chris.
No,
Tom
I
is
get
so
it. I get
cool.
it. I get it.
This episode's not helping. But I went and collected stamps, and stamps are great because you can soak them off the letters and collect stamps. You go to stamp shows, and there's stamps. And as a kid, you're like, wow, they're selling 1,000 stamps for $10. They're not worth anything, but you don't know that. And a guy, one of my friend's dads, was also got into stamps, and his son got into stamps. We all got into stamps, right? So he's like, let's go to the local stamp club. So we went there. And I'll never forget, as a kid, I was intimidated and disliked the whole thing because there was a bunch of old men. Now, for all I know, they were in their 30s,
Right, yeah. Look at that old guy there, younger than you are now.
And they were all just kind of like, whoa, that's cute, you want to get into stamps. It really was like that. I remember that distinctly, and I really kind of faded off after that because they were sitting there, they had a little auction for stamps that sold for prices I couldn't even get into.
Sure.
Just really expensive amounts. They talked about this. I would talk about stamps, and it was kind of like a, yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. Children should be seen, not heard type situation. And I was done. I was kind of done with stamps.
You know what's funny? So when I was 12, I got paid $40 to sit in one of those two-way mirror things to have someone try to see if they could get teenage girls into stamp collecting.
Really?
Really? Yeah, and I went home with 4 stamps.
Wow, did it work?
No, I thought it was terrible. And it clearly never went anywhere.
Oh, that's interesting.
They try to make a revival. Alf is back in stamp form.
And so another thing that got me out of stamps is the more I read about it, the more I'm reading about these stamps that are thousands, and I just realized it was kind of a pricey hobby.
Yeah.
But it wasn't very welcoming. There wasn't people who were really wanting me to get into the hobby, which is insane. We should want people to get in the hobby. Not necessarily our kids, but kids in general, or teenagers. And I'll admit, sometimes you sit there and go, because that's how we get as we get older.
Sure.
But we got to fight against that because we want to have a next generation to carry the banner for us. Anyway, that's what I think.
Good thought, Tom.
Happy breakfast, everyone. Let's talk about Red Rising today. So the first time I played this game was a couple of years ago at UK Games Expo, and I completely ruled it out. I played it it was either 4 or 5 players. It was very slow to go around the table. I kept constantly having to read new cards coming out of the deck. And then that market of cards available to me by the time it was my turn was completely different. I really didn't enjoy that. But recently I got the game back to the table, and playing it at a lower player count, especially at 2 players, I've been really enjoying Red Rising. But the way this one works is really simple. On your turn, there's 2 options, but you're normally going to be doing the lead action, which is play a card from your hand somewhere, and then take a card from somewhere else. Playing cards triggers an action, a deploy action, and taking a card from a location. The locations trigger specific things. The really simple card play is what's going to keep this coming back to the table, but I do think someone that's played does have quite an advantage against a new player. Not necessarily because you'll see the same cards. because it's a big, thick, chunky deck. But you can kind of already see, I need to chain these together. And after your first game, you'll probably see that chaining and be able to compete nicely. But it will take a little bit of that first game to really realise this is a really good card. This is a good card, and I can afford to sort of let you maybe have it to trigger some other stuff. And getting to that point, it just takes that first play. Anyway, that is Red Rising, and enjoy the rest of your breakfast.
All right, let's talk about Chip and Dale, which this is the new movie coming out. And I have to say, when I saw the trailer for this, I had zero interest in the movie, really.
I had
It looked
possibly
terrible.
less.
It looked really bad.
Because they showed that they're like, there's two different styles of animation. I was like, oh, who asked for that? You know, it's like, is that the gimmick? And it actually is not the gimmick of the movie. The gimmick of Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers is essentially, it is a modern day Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Sure.
I mean, that's exactly the vibe I got from the real life and the animation and all that kind of pushed together.
Yeah, and I
Anyways.
don't know why the trailer didn't get that to me.
The trailer just looked like drama. Like, I was like, oh, this is just a, like, brothers hate each other, used to love each other story.
Yeah, well, I mean, the story is one big trope, a fact that they reference in the movie.
Okay.
But I'll tell you what, I really, really enjoyed it. I'll tell you this, I enjoyed it way more than my kids did, because my kids have no reference to Rescue Rangers. So the plot of the movie is essentially the show Rescue Rangers has happened in our universe, which we've seen, the Disney Afternoon, which is one of the greatest sections of video viewing in history. And if you did not grow up with Disney Afternoon, I feel sorry for
You're
you.
such an old man.
Yeah, I'm sorry for you guys. DuckTales?
No, I
we grew
watched
up
all that
with it.
stuff.
Oh yeah, man. DuckTales and Rescue Rangers and
Tailspin.
Yeah,
Tailspin.
And also the music for all of them was great.
Yes.
They're all good. And in fact, the Chip and Dale, anyway, they were on this show in the thing. Have you guys not seen this? Am I telling you about this, or have you seen it?
You're telling us about it because
Got it.
Yeah, we haven't
watched
watched
the
the movie.
trailer and didn't watch it.
So in this, in our universe, they were actors on this show, and then one of them, Dale, breaks. He goes to star in his own spin-off, and it fails, and of course, then they split up, and then they get back together because of reasons. But I'm telling you, this is a cameo a minute movie. Like, you're watching it to see what cartoon characters or cartoon styles that they'll show. Like, I saw people from Beavis and Butthead, people from, I think there was a South Park person in there somewhere. Just everything, black and white.
Is the plot good, though?
The plot's fine. It's your typical, and the joke a minute works, and I really like the voice acting. The two main characters are Andy Samberg and John Mulaney. And they're just funny guys.
Okay.
So, I think those are the two.
Yeah.
I can read it right there. Thanks, Mike. Yeah. And they did a good job. And although for Gidget, I'm pretty sure they had the original voice actress for her. And the other three characters, Gidget, the Fly, and Cheese guy. What's his name?
Yeah, the dude, the dad dude. Not dad.
Not Mozzarella.
Monterey Jack.
Monterey Jack.
Yeah.
Monterey Jack. They're in the movie, and they're part of the movie, but they're in the movie much smaller than the main two. The main two, and then there's new characters, there's humans, and again, it has that very strong...
Not humans. I'm kidding, yeah. There's allowed to be humans.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I had a great time with this. Again, my kids were like, oh, it's fun, it was fine for them, but the nostalgia factor played in a lot to this. I even enjoyed the... I just enjoyed the dialogue back and forth. The action sequences were funny. One of the things that really amused me is they went to the bad part of town, which was where the Uncanny Valley animation people hung out.
Oh.
So, like, he's like, are you talking to me? Because your eyes are over there. They're looking over here. That sort of humor I just like. Okay. You would like that.
I would really like that, yeah.
I didn't know that was in the movie because of the trailer, but the Uncanny Valley stuff is funny to me. Because there was that period of terrible animation in the 90s, And so they talk about that. There's black and white. I don't know. The whole thing, if you liked, it's the kind of movie that I wish I had paused it more to see the different things in the background. So, anyhow, for me, this gets
You can
very high
always watch
thumbs
it
up.
again, Tom.
Really?
Oh, I will.
Okay.
I will
Just
watch
want to
it
make sure
again.
you know you can pause it in the future.
All right.
Well, yeah, but kids don't appreciate that sort of
No,
thing.
they don't. I don't appreciate that sort of thing.
Do either of you ever rewind to see something again real quick? You're like, wait a minute.
Not
go
usually,
back?
not usually in a first viewing.
Yeah, I do that a lot. My kids get annoyed. I'm like, hang on a second. Who was that actor? Ah!
Oh, I would hate watching movies with you.
I don't do it very often.
I would hate it.
Yeah, not for like, hey, who was that
Yeah,
guy?
not the first. Yeah, no.
Young people. Anyhow, this I'm telling you, I went into it and I thought it was really. I didn't think much of it. I then went. The only reason I watched it was because I started reading good things on Facebook. People were talking about it, and I really liked it. I give it an 8 out of 10, maybe higher.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was a lot of fun. So highly recommend it. Chippendale Rescue Rangers.
What is up? My name is Melissa McCack, and this is Smashing Buttons and Slamming Cards. This is a segment where I talk about a video game I love and I connect it to a board game I love. And this week, I'm actually not going to do that. I'm going to do something a little bit different. I want to talk about conventions because it is convention season. Conventions are going all over the place. But one convention in particular that I want to talk about is Dice Tower East. I don't know about y'all, but I've never actually been to a Dice Tower convention, so I am super excited. Please let me know in the comments if you're going to Dice Tower East, or if you've ever been to any sort of convention. The only convention I've been to is PAX Unplugged, and I love it. But I am so hyped to be at Dice Tower East. And actually, I will be part of the Hot Games area, so I'm going to be teaching games over at that area. And that's all from my segment where I do Teach the Teach, also on the Dice Tower. So if you haven't checked that out, you could go ahead and check it out. It's where I teach players how to teach other players board games. And so I give general tips and tricks, but also I talk about specific board games. So I've been asked to teach board games at the Hot Games area, and I am thrilled to do it. I am super excited. I'm a little bit nervous in case I don't do such a hot job, but I am hoping to do the best that I can. But in any case, I'm just looking to have a whole lot of fun and meet all of you who are going there. So please let me know if you're going there. Say hi, stop on by. Maybe we could play a game together. That would be awesome. Anyway, that is it for this week. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like, you could check out mine and my brother's channel called Room 51. I'll catch you next time.
Hi, I'm Jordan, and this is where I talk about a game that's great to play on a weeknight. And I talk a lot about roll and write games, flip and write games, and you know what? I got a new one that I also really enjoy. And this one is from Phil Walker Harding, praise be. And this is a new one. I guess it maybe came out a while ago, but this is Explorers. This is just coming out to the US, I think, from Ravensburger. And this is a, flip and write game that almost feels like Kingdom Builder, the roll and write game. And so in Kingdom Builder, of course, you had cards that had a different kind of terrain, type, rocks, flowers, things like that. You flip over a card and then you cover up hexes on this board depending on what that card showed. And in this one, you're going to have a grid board, and you're going to flip over a tile, and it's going to have you do two different options on that tile, and you get to cross off maybe water or sand or something like that on your board, cross off a couple spaces that way. This one feels like it has a lot more options than Kingdom Builder did. Kingdom Builder felt very restricted, especially without the expansions, very restricted in what you can do on your turn. This one feels like there's a lot more mitigation to that, but also there's just a lot of things on your board that you're trying to accomplish. You're trying to collect gems, you're trying to collect carrots and fish and apples, and you're trying to collect keys, and after you get the keys, then you can unlock these temples that are going to score you points, but also those points go down each round of the game, so you're trying to get those earlier. You're also trying to surround your kind of city space, and you're just trying to do a lot of different things on this board, but you don't have as many turns as you would really like to be able to reach everything on your board. So that's really cool. Yeah, I think it's a really strong roll and write, flip and write game. If you're into these kind of games, I think Phil Walker Harding has, done it again. His signature streamlined game that gets straight to the point but also has really great decisions. That is Explorers, and it fits his design style to a T and what I really like about games too. So that's it, guys. I'm Jordan. Thanks.
That's it. In an hour and 15 minutes, we'll be back with Sniper Elite as I try to infiltrate a base and do destructive things without getting shot. Really cool game. I really like Sniper Elite. I'm excited to play this. So we'll be back. And then at 2, at the table, me and Eric with Jason Perez. So that's what's coming out today. Until next time, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Wendy Yee.
I'm Chris Yee.
Don't forget to enter the contest at the beginning of the episode. We'll see you next time.
Ready?
Thanks for watching Board Game Breakfast. Tune in each week for your daily dose of gaming goodness with Tom Vassell and all the gang. Until next time, I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching Board Game Breakfast, a Dice Tower production.